We'll start with the big one, which is the kind of number one contenders wars.
Oh, this is going to be all over the fucking place and encompass about 5 different stories, but let's go.
Yeah, so if you remember, Jeff Jarrett and Chris Harris was announced for the March 17th show and did in fact happen. But the whole thing this month is that everybody wants to be number one contender. So you have Styles, who has already somewhat of a rightful claim from that tag match he and Eric Watts won, but he never got his title match. You have Abyss, who's feuding with AJ, and he wants to be number one contender. You have Ron Killings, who's reinserted into like the heavyweight title picture as a pushed entity, which is refreshing to see. You have Raven, of course, who is the kind of second biggest star in the company, basically, behind Jarrett, constantly asking for his title shot.
I have some problems with this Raven push.
Well, he turns heel. That's probably the biggest one.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why is this dude a whiny heel?
And then you have Chris Harris, who's the new featured act who's being pushed. So the whole month is built around those 5 men jockeying for a title shot. Harris does get his title shot, but that title shot is more to build to something further down the line. And then there's Jeff Jarrett, of course, who's champion. So this entire month is those people feuding over being number one contender.
You forgot Vince Russo.
Well, Vince Russo is the all-knowing sage genius who's pulling the strings and making everyone great.
There's one real good Vince Russo segment that I cannot wait to talk about.
I don't even know which one, so I'm looking forward to getting to it. So NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 84, March 3rd, 2004. The idea of this show was that Chris Harris was booked in the opener and the main event, with Vince Russo once again trying to sharpen the iron that is Chris Harris to prepare him for Jeff Jarrett on March 17th.
Yeah, so we get the start of actually a story I really enjoyed here. Chris Harris, as we noted from like the last show, he faced all the naturals, natural 1, natural 2, then the naturals, and he got the final win when James Storm interfered with that hell of a super kick. But now we get this story unraveling of like, you're still relying on Storm here. Like, you're facing odds, but you're still relying on Storm to get the win here. And we get that story of like Vince Russo losing confidence in this guy, because like, you're beating my challenges, but you're not doing it by yourself. And I like that story. It's kind of interesting.
At the same time, I think Harris is somewhat vindicated in that he was booked in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Or, like, we'll talk about the Shane Douglas thing in the main event, but there was interference from other people. So he's just evening the odds.
But that was the point, though, is that he could overcome these by learning through his other experiences, but he kept relying on that crutch. So when he got down to the main tax of it all, he was still relying on that crutch, and it backfired once it was taken away from him.
But if you're Vince Russo, and you're like, I want to prepare you to face Jeff Jarrett, why don't you just ban everybody from ringside?
I'm not saying it's a great strategy, but I'm just saying that is the strategy that was had.
Listen, I get that from the mind of Vince Russo, it's the most arse-backwards way of trying to prepare somebody for all the outside interference and bullshit Jeff Jarrett brings, instead of just banning the outside interference and bullshit.
Yes, that being said, I thought it was a good story.
So yes, this show opened with Chris Harris against Kevin Northcutt. Kevin Northcutt, now in wrestling gear.
Don't like it.
It's so weird.
And to add, like, offense to it all, not wearing a red shirt.
He's no longer the red shirt security. It's gone.
I don't like it. He's kept the music.
You know who he reminded me of?
I'm excited that you're going to tell me this, because I was looking at this man's body and I was like, he reminds me of someone, but I cannot fucking put my fucking finger on it.
I thought he looked like TNA's Test.
That might have been who I was thinking of. There's someone else on this month who looks a lot like a Test too, so...
That's true, that was always Lance Hoyt's thing for a while, that he is TNA's Test. But...
well, he has a big fucking Christian cross on it, on his tights, so...
Yeah, Kevin Northcutt. He somehow looks less jacked. He looked huge and jacked when he wore that tight red shirt. And now that he's taken the red shirt off, he somehow looks less jacked. I do not understand it.
He should have worn like an MVP singlet.
Yeah, so Harris will wrestle in this match. Storm is at ringside, but Russo advised him not to get involved because he wants Harris to do this by himself. So Northcutt missed an elbow. Harris followed with a catatonic to beat Kevin Northcutt. Mike Tenay and Don West announced during the match that Harris will be wrestling in the main event, but Harris didn't know that yet. So it was a pre-tape later in the show where Harris found out and he was like mad that he was wrestling, and Shane Douglas and Jeff Jarrett arrived. Jarrett is like, I'm the Cal Ripken of wrestling. I think that's a baseball reference. He's going to beat Harris on March 17th. Jarrett is going to find somebody to wrestle because Russo is trying to keep him out of it. Russo's big thing is that he wants Jarrett not wrestling, so he'll be off his game, and Jarrett sees through Russo and his ploys.
Raven's already complaining at this point too. He wants to be involved in the title. He's like, I've gone through everything. I've done it all. What about me? What about Raven? And then the Naturals attack him.
Yeah, Ray, because there's so many interesting stories. But after a Frankie Kazarian and Jerry Lynn match,
This might be a rare month where going show by show is the better option here.
but I don't want to cover the Frankie stuff because that it's. But yeah, Frankie returns, wins the match. Raven DDTs and wanders out, and he's like, "Where is my title shot? Give me my title shot."
I love Frankie, but maybe the worst promo in TNA history.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the X Division segment. Ugh, Frankie. Chris Harris then faces Shane Douglas in the main event. The idea is Shane Douglas was not prepared. He came there not to wrestle, so he's in his street clothes.
Yeah, which is weird because like Shane Douglas is meant to be like Jarrett's guy at this point.
And only for this show?
Yeah, and well, because he kind of built up to it when like they were doing the whole like who's gonna be the new DOA, and him and Douglas were chummy, but it felt like this was the beginning of like Jarrett getting involved with the new franchise.
And then it just never went anywhere after this. Maybe because he lost. He's like, fuck you, I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be friends anymore.
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, main event, Chris Harris defeated Shane Douglas. Don Harris was guest referee because of a whole thing with the AJ Abyss match, which...
I thought you were going to be like, because of the whole thing with them both having the same last name.
It's a conspiracy, goddammit.
Yeah, see, Russo is stacking the deck.
So Harris beat Douglas. Shane Douglas, perfect for a role like this. As like the cowering heel who has enough of a name for Harris to credibly beat, but is enough of a threat to make Harris look good. Like franchise with everybody that wants to wrestle should watch Shane Douglas matches to learn how to present yourself as a heel, particularly for facial expressions. Best in the business. He's so good.
He's great. Great at everything. I think even more so than Raven at this point. A dude who has made every segment work. The dude fucking threw up in the ring and still managed to make that segment rule. So fucking, what more do you want from this guy?
Yeah, there's a moment in this match where Harris fired up or Shane Douglas was slapping him and Harris just did like full baby face fire. And it's like, oh, yes. Again, you see why everybody was like, this dude's going to be a star.
100%.
Earlier in that show, AJ Styles faced Abyss in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I did not think it was possible, Liam, for me to get sick of AJ Styles and Abyss wrestling, but 2004 TNA has somehow managed to pull it off.
Well, Garrett, let me take you back to the past. Not the future, that is the past, that is the wrestling initiative, I don't know, whatever Dixie said. I also thought I wasn't going to get sick of AJ Styles versus Jerry Lynn, but that managed to make it there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they have good chemistry, so the matches aren't bad, but which is like the same thing as the Jerry Lynn stuff, but it's just like, okay, can we have these guys wrestle other people now? Hopefully this is a wrap on their stuff for a while.
I think the biggest problem is none of their matches have finishes.
But that's kind of the point, I guess. They're trying to keep these guys at the same level. But, you know, if no one wins, no one gets over.
They're just wrestling every month with various stipulations. They had a tables match last month. They have a Falls Count Anywhere match here. They have a ladder match later in the month. And either they are riddled with interference and nonsense, or they just don't have finishes full stop.
I was very confused by this finish. I was like, I had to rewind it like 3 times, and I'm still not sure what ended it.
No, they just decided the match was over. They just brawled out to the crowd. They brawled around the arena. Then Don Harris just came out and tried to break the match up. It's just, the match is over now. We've decided it's enough. They were fighting too hard, Liam, in this Falls Count Anywhere match.
They got too violent.
Because they did have ref bumps and stuff. Because the story here is they took out 2 referees. The third referee came out. They took him out too. So that they couldn't have a referee for...
Ran out of refs. Like, we only have 3.
They ran out of refs for the Chris Harris and Shane Douglas match, so Don Harris had to ref that for some reason. I don't know why that was the story.
I hope that was the actual reason.
That they did actually run out of refs?
Like, that was the in-kayfabe reason that all the refs died in the AJ Abyss match, so they just sent Don Harris to be to do the reffing in the main event.
That is the in-canon thing. That is the story. Like, they killed...
Oh, is it? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, they killed all the referees in this AJ and Abyss match so that they would have to send Don Harris out as guest referee. But then Don Harris didn't really do anything in that match to be guest referee.
I like that. That's fun.
I don't know. They had another instance of horrific table luck in this match.
Yeah. But AJ worked with it, though.
Yeah, where AJ placed the Abyss on a table and the table just broke.
And this also isn't the last time this happens this month.
No, it happens twice where somebody places somebody at a table and the table just breaks. But as you said, AJ did make it work where he then placed the Abyss on the top half of the table and elbow dropped him and the referee threw it.
The ref had to take a real dive for that one. I like that that AJ didn't seem phased. He was just like, all right, I'll make work of this.
Yeah, because he's a pro. And they always talk, I love how Don West and Mike Tenay always put AJ over as like, he's so adaptable. You know, when things go wrong for him, he can change his game plan. And they incorporate it into a reoccurring narrative as a character that this dude can always change things up if things don't go his way.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense too, because he's such a versatile in-ring performer.
So Abyss and AJ still feuding. I forgot to mention the angle after the Chris Harrison Shane Douglas match. Vince Russo walks out. He's super mad that James Storm helped Chris Harris defeat Shane Douglas. He's upset. He says Shane Douglas
doesn't think he's ready.
Yeah, he's like, James Storm shouldn't be interfering. You need to do this. You shouldn't be. You're not ready. I want to postpone the match against Jarrett. Harris is like, nope, sign the contract. Match is happening. And Russo's well, I wash my hands with whatever happens.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that. He's like, I don't think you're ready, but I'm not going to take the match from you. If you want to take it, you've signed it, you can do the match, but I don't think you're ready, and I've let it be known.
But then he never wins.
Yeah, well, you know. Life moves on.
You can't do this story and not have him win.
I know, but like, I'm sure the attention eventually was he was going to get the win.
But then he didn't.
Yeah, well, that's just how life works sometimes.
And you asked the question, why didn't he? We're going to talk about that a lot in April.
Oh, I actually have no clue as to why he doesn't.
Just why? Why did you do the story where you're like, he's not ready. And even Russo, like, after the Jarrett match, we'll talk about that. We'll go to the March 17th show, where Russo comes to the ring, Mike Tenay introduces him, Russo talks about again, how Harris, he doesn't think he's necessarily ready, but he's getting his match, he's done everything he can to prepare him for it. And then Raven interrupts. Raven wants a title shot. He offers Raven and Sabu a shot in the tag title tournament. Raven's like, no, I don't want that. I'm not a tag team wrestler.
That's not my destiny.
Sabu, he can fight for himself. He doesn't need me to get over. I'm a singles wrestler. I want the world title match. So then he offers Raven a spot in a gauntlet match that night. Raven is like, again, no, I don't want that. I want Jeff Jarrett for the NWA world title. Russo's like, yeah, how about we add you to this AJ and Abyss match? Again, Raven, nope. Raven demands that Russo take Chris Harris out of the main event and put Raven into the main event. And Russo says no. Raven's like, I see how it is. This is WCW all over again.
This is a nice touch here because for the most part, I don't think Russo is a good babyface authority figure because he doesn't ever seem like a babyface. But at least here in this scenario, he was like, I don't agree with the circumstance, but I'm not fucking changing it, okay?
Yeah.
The guy's getting his shot.
And also, like, Raven's like, I'm being politicked out of my title shot, even though he is literally trying to politic somebody out of his title shot.
And that he has no title shot. He has not earned one in any way.
Yeah, he has literally no claim to being number one contender. AJ, who later on the show does a promo being like, you know what, Chris Harris, he's ready. AJ has a claim to being number one contender. He won number one contendership in a match with Eric Watts.
Maybe he just wants to take the easy pickings of Chris Harris.
So Raven tells Russo that he will have his attention before the night is out. Later in that show, we have a number one contenders gauntlet in which Ron Killings defeats D'Lo Brown, Simon Diamond, Johnny Swinger, Glenn Gilberti.
Excuse me, sir. There was a great Abyss fondling a title moment before that. Don't try and skip the Goldilocks segment.
So Abyss is backstage with Scott Hudson and Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett's doing his promo about the main event.
You love this segment. Don't sigh heavily about this segment. You were raving about it. When we did the watch along, which you can now go listen to at tnhhead.com.
I'm more thinking about the Goldilocks segment later in the month.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see no Goldilocks segment later in the month.
My apologies. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett's doing the promo where he's like, Chris Harris isn't ready. I'm this guy who's been champion forever. I've defended the belt everywhere. I can go around the world. I am the NWA champion. This guy is just a nobody. And Abyss is just standing behind him. And he's just fondling the NWA title. He's just rubbing it. And Jarrett never notices. It's not like a thing that Jarrett's like, get away from my belt. Abyss is just like, ooh, shiny.
I think he thinks that Abyss is like hyping him up. Like he's like tapping him on the shoulder. He's like, yeah, that's my guy Abyss. He's got my back.
And I thought that was a really nice touch to be like, Abyss is on Jarrett's side, but also he really likes that shiny belt there.
The push of Abyss actually worked quite well. He feels like a top guy.
I feel like that's the case for everybody this month. Where Killings has been, I think, decently rehabbed. I think this has done a good job of elevating Harris. Styles has obviously already been a main eventer. And Abyss has done a good job of elevating him too.
It makes a lot of sense that it's like... I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's interesting that it's worked out this way. That a guy who's exclusively been put in matches where they were draws and non-finishes has somehow gotten over.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happens when you put them in the ring with AJ Styles.
Yeah, you can actually get people over by association. You just put them in the ring with good wrestlers having good matches, and people will care about them at least a little more than they used to.
And you put them in circumstances that accentuate their positives too. Where it's like Abyss throwing AJ Styles around in plunder matches is going to make him look pretty good. And when he does run-ins and he just kills guys.
I always find it interesting though, like you say Abyss is throwing AJ around. Like Abyss bumps so much for people that are smaller than him.
That's the story of Abyss's career though. That guy bumps for it like a motherfucker.
Like there is moments in these AJ matches where he is bumping more than AJ Styles.
Do you think that could be a detriment though?
Well, there's the classic work like a big man thing where he shouldn't be bumping like this, especially for somebody like AJ. He bumps like it for Ron Killings as well next week. He probably shouldn't be, but you admire a big man who can bump and like Abyss bumping, he makes a spectacle of it. I love Abyss's bumps. They look so cool.
Very Mankind.
Well, yeah, Mick Foley was his hero, and people always, compared him to Mankind kind of derogatorily. They were like, oh, he's only just a knockoff Mankind, which is totally unfair.
I'm only going to compare to one of the best wrestlers ever.
So as mentioned, Ron Killings won a number one contenders gauntlet match. Or well, it wasn't a number one contenders match explicitly. It was a rankings match where it was him, D'Lo Brown, Simon Diamond, Johnny Swinger, Glenn Gilberti, Kid Cash, Sonny Siaki, David Young, and Michael Shane. Raven came out halfway through, DDT'd Siaki to throw him out of the match. The whole idea is he's going after Russo's guys. So Siaki was Russo's guy, so he took him out.
We got a bunch of stuff in this. This match was crazy. I don't think it was particularly good, but it was crazy.
So Kid Cash kind of exploded with Glenn Gilberti and David Young. He's fed up with their bullshit, and they started fighting in this match. Then it came down to Michael Shane and Ron Killings were the final two. Franchise came out, tried to throw a Shane to Chain. Yes,
throw a Shane to Chain.
Goddamn, people named Shane. The word Shane involved too many people. But tried to throw a chain to Shane. Shane threw it back. He refused to cheat. I said it right that time.
I know, but your accent was try to throw a chain to chain.
I became distinctly Irish. You see, whenever I have to rhyme, I become Irish. It's just the way of the world.
It's in your nature. You can't fight it. It's fine.
But Shane threw it back. Then he immediately lost. He got gourd busted by Ron Killings. Then Franchise stared down with Michael Shane. They were very mad.
I'm into this stuff. I love the Franchise and Shane Douglas stuff. Shane Douglas? Yes, Michael Shane. Too many Shanes.
Again, maybe Vince is right. Maybe you shouldn't have people with the same names on the same shows.
I'm just going to call him Matt Bentley.
That's the reason, if you look in the notes, I always call him Franchise. Every time, it's just Franchise.
Makes sense. I was wondering that. Good thing Francine isn't still around, otherwise we'd still be having problems.
It's my easy shorthand to be like, right, it's Franchise and it's Shane. There you go. I am less likely to be confused.
You could have just gone with Douglas, I guess.
But then you still have his name is Shane Douglas. It's still harder.
Sure. I suppose, yeah, if you had Douglas and Shane, that might be a little confusing.
Still annoying.
Or Shane and Douglas.
Whereas Franchise and Shane, at least, you have two distinct... It's stupid.
What if you did Michael and Douglas?
Then you're confused with the actor. You're like, you think I'm talking about Michael Douglas.
Can we just talk about Michael Douglas?
I do like Ant-Man.
What's Michael Douglas doing lately?
Talk about the filmography of Michael Douglas.
Yeah, I like Michael Douglas.
He's a good charismatic actor.
A crotchety fella. Let's go to his IMDb.
I enjoy The American President. It's basically a West Wing prequel.
What's he doing now? What's coming out now?
Probably in another Ant-Man movie.
He is in fact in the next Ant-Man movie.
There you go.
He's just doing a lot of TV at the moment.
Oh, that's good. I like TV.
A lot of TV and then the Ant-Man stuff. How much do you think he made from Endgame?
How much is he in Endgame?
Very little.
He probably still got a good paycheck for it.
Yeah, right? Like, my man's still making bank on that. I would love to know how much each actor got paid for Infinity War and Endgame. Because, like, some of those cameos are, like, maybe a 2-day shoot.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting. And especially, like, you have, like, name actors there, too. Because, like, Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch, like, they're just for, like, the final stretch, basically. And, they're probably getting full paychecks still.
Yeah, like even Michael Douglas, big name, just pops up randomly in the movie.
That movie is insane. That movie is the most insane movie that will ever exist, in my opinion. Just from the sheer amount of, like, A-list actors that just appear for, like, 3 seconds.
Just stroll into frame.
There will never be another movie like that. There'll never be even another Marvel movie like that. That movie is a encapsulation of a time period.
When you're like, Gwyneth Paltrow is in this movie for like 4 minutes.
It's fucking insane.
But yes, the new franchise are exploding. We'll talk about that more in a second. We'll give them their own moment.
Sure.
Intersecting stories. Abyss faces AJ Styles in a ladder match. There's a final definitive winner at least. So AJ's about to win when Raven shows up, throws him off a ladder, and he dies.
Yeah, he dies.
He literally dies. They show the like slow motion replay in the opening video of the next week, where you can see he basically lands head first on the ladder, and it looks like just hideous.
Yeah, it looks so. It looks like we witnessed the murder.
He is up. They do literally go backstage where he's confronting Raven immediately after. So I assume he's fine, and he somehow just made it look like the most disgusting ladder bump you've ever seen.
He kind of does the Lindemann self from the latest Late Show though, where he fights for a second and then he just drops like a bag.
I did enjoy that, where he's like, he does his dive, he fist pumps the air, and then he just strolls over and just collapses in a heap.
Well, he doesn't dive, but he basically doesn't get caught at all and just lands all on his back. And he's like, yeah! And then just falls over. Go watch Lindemann versus 88. That match rules.
That match does rule. Go watch Glee. Yeah, AJ dead. Yeah, this was a good match. Sunset flip off a ladder to Abyss, which just through chairs. Abyss is like, ow.
Abyss is used to it. It's fine.
I don't think any of these AJ Abyss matches are must watch, but I think they're all enjoyable and they all build to one that is must watch in 2005.
Also, like, this is good mid-card stuff, and it's not Glenn Gilberti versus Violent J or something, so fine, let's take it,
Yeah, when AJ and Abyss come out for a ladder match, you're like, at least I'm going to get something good on this wrestling show instead of some nonsense. So again, the story here is that AJ is Vince Russo's guy, even though AJ hates Vince Russo right now, but Raven doesn't care about that, costing the match. And then, main event, for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Chris Harris challenges Jeff Jarrett.
It was okay.
I think, the crowd were into Harris, which is a plus. They bit on some near falls they probably shouldn't have bitten on. They bit more on an elbow drop near fall than the actual catatonic near fall in this match, which is very strange.
I'm pretty sure that they got sloshed at that point, right? They got booze at the asylum?
Maybe? I don't know. You can see the confectionery stand from a large distance. It's a very bright sign, but I don't know what's at the confectionery stand.
We'll have to go back to those early shows where they did the walk and brawls next to it, and we can determine if there's alcohol on the premises.
Now that I think about, those walk and brawls, you generally see people with, water and soft drinks as opposed to beer, but I don't know.
I'll keep an eye out next time.
Storm tries to interfere at ringside, but throws Jarrett back in the ring. Abyss and Killings are standing in the stands watching on because both have a claim to being number one contender right now. Killings through the gauntlet match, Abyss through the ladder match. Harris spears the ref in just a terrible ref bump. I don't understand what happened. He throws Harris into the corner, and it's not even the thing where Jarrett moves and he hits the referee. Harris is in the corner, Jarrett's straight in front of him, the referee is to his right, and for some reason he just flies out of the corner and spears the referee.
Fighting on instinct, clearly.
It's still stupid.
I mean, yeah, it makes him look silly. It's almost like Garrett, he's not ready.
Oh, Vince Russo narratives again. First you're like, oh, I miss Vinny Woo on these shows. I wish
Sound the alarm. Sound the alarm.
And now you want Chris Harris to lose. It's disgusting behavior.
Well, I don't want him to lose. I just know he does.
Yeah, Jarrett hits Harris with the belt. Harris kicks out. Jarrett kicks out of the catatonic. Then Storm comes in, hits a super kick, but Raven pulls the referee out of the ring, stopping Harris from winning again. All that commotion allows Jeff Jarrett to hit Chris Harris with a guitar and retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
So, this match is probably a match that is hurt by a knowledge of the company. If I was watching this completely blind and thought that Chris Harris had a single chance, I might have been a bit more into it because I do like the Jarrett style of match where it's everything going on, the babyface trying to overcome it all. I like that, but yeah, this one was just kind of not it for me, and I think that's where it mostly comes from. But I also think they kind of gave it away by having the babyface authority figure doubt the babyface winning, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense for the babyface authority figure to be proven wrong in that case, because that would make him look foolish, which is not what you do generally, especially if the person who is that figure is writing the show. They tend not to make themselves look foolish on the camera, so
they tend to book themselves to be right.
Yeah, so even if I didn't know the outcome of this, I don't know if I would have been too invested in a change of title picture here, especially with all these other contenders. But I don't mind this program as like a little 3-week, 4-week thing. Because, it's better than Jarrett just not doing anything.
Like, I don't know. Surely the idea that Russo says he's not ready is for Harris to prove he is, right?
Yes, but that could have also been a long-term plan that just got nixed.
But like even after the match, Russo comes out. He's like, Harris proved tonight that he was ready, but everything screwed him. So next time Jeff Jarrett will defend the belt, it will be in a steel cage to negate all the outside interference. So like the moral we're supposed to take from this match is that Chris Harris is ready.
That he's gonna beat him in the cage, yeah.
Even though his big near fall that he should have won on was through outside interference from a James Storm superkick.
Which proving him right.
So why is surely Russo should be like, I was right.
Yeah, that's because he's a nice guy now. The old Vince Russo would have been like, nah.
What, the old Vince Russo of like 2 weeks ago who was like, you're not ready?
Yep. Yeah, he's a good guy now.
Just nice guy Vinny Rue supporting his pal Chris Harris.
Yep.
So Jarrett will defend the belt in a cage in April, and the rest of this month is building toward crowning a #1 contender for that cage match.
Mm-hmm.
Next week's show, there's a video package on Jarrett and Harris, which is frankly demented.
I don't remember this. I think I skipped it.
They're like all the video packages on this show are increasingly produced like horror movies, and
there's a real fun one at the end of one of the shows too, where it's like Road to the Steel Cage.
Yeah, and they have graphics and everything. Graphics of roads.
It's a New Japan tour. Road to Steel Cage.
But yeah, like there's this Harris and Jarrett video where they're just playing like horror movie music where it's like
that's a teenage staple though.
It is. It's so weird. I don't understand it as an aesthetic choice.
Maybe because it's awesome. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so this is where you got that Jeff Jarrett promo where he's like, I'm going to Mexico, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm the best.
I like that promo. It made him feel like a star.
And again, that's the Jeff Jarrett I would like to see. The guy who is the actual wily veteran, who has like the experience to overcome people. Like we've talked about this multiple times. The complete lack of confidence Jeff Jarrett seems to have in his own ability is always so frustrating to me, because I think he's good enough to be a world champion. I think he's good enough to go in there with Chris Harris or AJ Styles or Ron Killings or Abyss or Raven and have good pro wrestling main events where they win without the just parade of bullshit you get with ref bumps, interference, and guitar shots. And like, you can still do that sometimes.
Yeah, like this is a month where it made sense because there's like 25 contenders. But when you do it every title defense, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, you can still do it now and again. You can still do like a ref bump guitar shot of run-ins match, and that's fine. But he's good enough to have good, real, memorable world title matches. He is. He's a good pro wrestler. And I just think it's a lack of faith in his own ability or an over, like, indulgence in a particularly bad style of wrestling that really will increasingly tank this run as we go further and further into it, particularly for the reign of terror that we start into in June.
I know what you're talking about. I assume he loses the belt in the steel cage. Okay, so you've skipped over the segment I want to talk about, so I'm going to rewind you real quick.
Which is your big segment?
There's a backstage segment where Hudson is interviewing AJ Styles.
Oh, yeah.
And AJ is pissed at being on the sidelines. Then Russo comes in, and this is my favorite segment, because Russo's like, hey man, let's just put it behind us. And AJ's like, no? What the fuck? Why would I do that?
I was wrestling the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, and you strolled out drunk, and you want to be like, oh, it's fine.
And like, this is the part where it's like, Russo cannot be a babyface because he's like, hey man, just trust me again. And AJ's like, no, of course I will not trust you again.
Then you lost your mind, you started fighting Jeff Jarrett, then you disappeared, then I lost my title.
And then he's like, yeah, the last time you talked to me was October, you fuck.
When you were a drunken, unhinged fool.
And my favorite part, like, is in when they eventually get to the four-way match on the next show. Russo's on commentary and he's like, AJ's the only one who doesn't trust me. Of course he doesn't, you oaf. You went to motels together and did flips into the pool.
In fact,
he knows you better than anyone.
Yeah, if you were a good guy, he should trust you more than anybody. But you're not, so he doesn't.
Just that statement made me laugh.
And even like AJ's like, well, fine, give me a match against Raven. It's like, Oh, I can't do that. It's like, put me in the number contenders match. Oh, no, I can't do that. It's like, well, no, I don't trust you then.
Yeah, okay, then I'll extend an olive branch. Give me the thing I want. No.
So, because Killings won the gauntlet and Abyss won the ladder match, they had 2 claims to being number 1 contender. So, Abyss faced Ron Killings on the show, which ended in a no contest.
So the first half of this match I thought rocked. I really liked it. I liked the brawling in the crowd. I thought it was real fun. But then it kind of just broke down into nothing towards the end.
Well, it's, at least, it's a no contest in service of setting something up. So I'll give them something of a pass there. It's not just a no contest to get out of like pinning either guy.
Oh, you mean like the next week?
Well, yes. Killings hit a front suplex, but Raven pulled the referee out. Abyss hit the black hole slam, but then Raven runs in, hits Abyss with the chair for a DQ. AJ shows up, beats the heck out of Raven, but then got dropped to the black hole slam as well. Wrestler security broke everybody up. Then Truth grabbed the microphone and demanded that all 4 be put in a number 1 contenders match next week.
I thought Truth cutting a promo here was nice too. I also liked seeing Raven and Abyss kind of make a little alliance here because it's something you saw up in the 4-way.
And AJ and Raven feuding feels a little hot. Every time they interact, the crowd goes nuts.
Oh, they're like the number 2 and number 3 in the company.
Yeah, they are stars. Does help. So Rudy Charles interrupts the Mike Tenay and Don West rundown to announce that the main event of the last show of the month will be Abyss, Styles, Raven, and Killings in a 4-way with Sting as the special enforcer. Because, Liam, Sting returned on this show.
It's Sting. Yeah, he has a movie to promote, so he's back.
Yeah, he just shows up. He's the Chris Rock of TNA, just here promoting movies.
I like that when he's like, I came here for part of my career. He's like, I'm not talking about TNA.
The olden days with Jerry.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mike today does a big intro. He's talking about this man has done all these things. He faced Ric Flair. He won the NWA title. He won the WCW title. He was this big star. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you're a big dork. Did you know who he was talking about, Liam? Did you work out who Mike today was talking about?
I had no clue.
So yeah, he introduces Sting. Sting is here to shoot a movie, actually, not plug a movie. He's shooting a movie, just like Chris Rock. He's shooting Sting the movie. George King, a Christian music industry who was married to Sting's longtime manager, Kathy King, decided to make a movie based on Sting's life. It was later released as Sting the Moment of Truth.
This is a movie that came out?
Oh yeah, it actually came out. It's a real thing. We should probably watch it for Patreon if we can find it.
This is our number 2 movie review.
Yeah, every movie that props up in the TNA timeline we will have to watch for Patreon. That's the rule.
No, don't say that because some sponsors later on in the run, I don't...
We'll have to watch X-Men 3 that sponsors TNA in 2006.
We have to listen to the Fozzy album.
Oh, no.
No, I'm a staunch Fozzy supporter, so I can't actually talk about that. Not as big as Andrew Rich, but you know.
Why are you taking shots at Andrew and his Fozzy love?
Because he owned me thoroughly that one time.
Sting will be playing himself in the later years, and actor Danny Falgatter will be playing young Sting. Former Tennessee Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders will play the part of the referee. The movie is expected to be distributed through the Christian community.
The referee.
Yes, the singular referee. TNA only has 3 apparently. Sting only has 1.
The way I'm reading this, it seems like old Sting wrestles young Sting in this movie.
No, there's just flashbacks to Sting's early career, and then you see like older Sting who is... So the story is about a wrestler caught up in a world of drugs, drinking, and womanizing, who is a superstar in front of the curtain, but killing himself behind it. Then he turns around due to discovering Jesus Christ.
So this is like the first 75% of the wrestler.
Yeah, except with more Jesus.
Yay.
Instead of the ending where he does the dive off the top rope and they fade to black, Jesus.
They fade to black and it's Jesus.
There is an alternate ending, isn't there? I don't forget what the alternate ending of the wrestler is.
I just remember that he dies. Big 2008 spoilers.
There was a match taped between Sting and Jeff Jarrett for the movie. It was about 5 minutes long. Sting did all his big moves and won, but refused to break the Scorpion Deathlock after the match. They also filmed stuff in the ring with Chris Harris and Abyss for the movie.
I hope it's young Sting wrestling Abyss.
This actor dude, just Abyss throwing him around.
And also just like the idea of, yes, when I was a young man in the business, I wrestled this man, Abyss.
Abyss is an omnipresent force, Liam.
He is a demon.
He is everywhere.
He is everything.
So, last show of the month, NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 88, March 31st. Mike Tenay introduces America's Most Wanted, who come out.
Excuse me, you skipped a Goldie segment?
Have I?
Where Hudson was interviewing 3LK. And they're like, oh man, you have Abyss next. And they're like, oh yeah, Abyss can't handle the truth. And Goldie's like, oh, are you ready for Abyss? And Ron's like, yeah, of course I'm ready. And then then Goldie was like, what did she say?
I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was getting in Ron's face. And she, like, listen, There are degrees of Goldie
I'm
unhinged.
finding this. She said home dog. She said home
You
dog.
can't take Goldie anywhere. I actually don't think we even mentioned it. When in the Abyss fondling the title promo, Goldie did walk up and just stare at Abyss, and they had a moment.
A callback to the initial Abyss run.
He likes staring at people.
He likes gold things.
It's true. He likes gold title belts, and he likes Goldilocks.
Well, it's kind of sweet.
Yeah, the week before Goldie cut off with Sri LK, and just the most, again, Goldilocks is unhinged at the best of times. Goldilocks now is just like a whole new level of unhinged.
She literally Joker laughs. She like actually Joker laughs.
And she's doing a thing where anybody that infers she's crazy, she goes nuts, but also she doesn't even wait until they call her crazy. She's like, I'm not crazy.
She rules.
She just walks into scenes shouting about how she's not crazy.
So yeah, I really struggle with, the Joker Harley Quinn dynamic here because, like, in one hand, it's so clearly she is the Joker, but she has the Eric Watts PTSD that would make her a Harley Quinn.
Yeah. And Watts is gone. There's no Watts this month.
Yeah, he's off doing his, like, solo series that, like, makes him good now. and, people realize that his character was, like, actually a victim. So he's becoming, like, over and getting a push as one of the mainline DC characters. That's what Eric Watts is doing.
So Might TNA introduces AMW. They come out. I was going to say, they feel like a main event act for the first time. This is the time when AMW were making their entrance here. When Might TNA introduced them and they came out together, that was the moment. It was like, main eventers AMW. They are the top guys in this company.
And then a pretty sweet segment, actually.
In typical fashion, because they have become the top guys in this company, Jeff Jarrett has to beat them up. So he hits James Storm with a guitar and starts brawling with Chris Harris.
It kind of rolls though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So they brawl with Harris. Harris hits a catatonic. Harris is about to hit Jarrett with a guitar, but Raven comes out, interrupts him. Then it drops Harris with the Raven effect. Styles comes out, takes out Raven and Jarrett, but Jarrett makes a comeback to hit Harris with a guitar, all to build toward our main event.
Yeah, I'm into it. Do you think if you're James Storm, you're lying on the ground, you're like, is this where I'm going to be forever, huh? Well, Chris is in there having the segments with the stars, and I'm just laying here.
Just the number 2 to Harris's number 1.
Yeah. We also got more footage of Jarrett in Triple H. They hated him.
Yeah. They were not big fans of Jeff Jarrett.
I'm very proud of myself that I managed to work out that it was Latin Lover that he pinned.
Well, they did say it in the video package, but sure.
I wasn't listening.
So yeah, they was in front of 18,000 people on a AAA show, so it looked very major league. They had the footage, they showed Jarrett, and they mentioned how he had to be escorted out by the police.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems pretty Kenneth Omega-y, The influence of TNA still reaching to this day.
And then we have to talk about another woman showing up on this show, Liam. So Scott Hudson is looking for Abyss. He goes to his cage and he's like, hey, I want comments from Abyss. Then a mysterious black-haired lady with a British accent cuts him off and says Abyss is preparing for his match and you should leave him alone.
Yeah.
And Scott Hudson's like, do I know you? And she's like, do you know me?
She's like, do you know me, Scott?
She's doing the Oscar Isaac Moon Knight accent.
Do you know me, Scott? Where's my mum? Please don't talk to me, Mom.
So, if you did not notice, just moving on from your Moon Knight nonsense.
It's just good bits.
If you did not notice, this woman is Goldilocks.
You're fucking lying.
Goldilocks is now playing a character. More than she has already been playing a character.
Nah. Nope. Don't believe it.
You just refuse to acknowledge Goldilocks lore?
This is not Goldilocks. I don't know who this is.
Could be any woman.
Oh no, is this Harleen Quinzel?
Oh my god. Not only is Goldilocks the Joker, she's also Harley Quinn. She's both.
That's actually sick. Okay, so first thing that's on this list, I searched up Harley Quinn to verify the name. People also ask, is Harley Quinn Joker's daughter? Sure fucking A, hope not.
That would be a more distinctly unpleasant angle to that story.
Everyone go watch the TV show. It's great.
I hear everyone puts it over. I really should watch it.
It's very, very, very good. Has a good comic run too.
So that brings us to our main event. Raven defeats AJ Styles, Ron Killings, and Abyss to advance to face Chris Harris next week, where the winner of that match will advance to the steel cage to face Jeff Jarrett.
So I don't particularly like the match, but I like seeing 4 stars on the screen, so 3.5, baby.
I like the match. I thought this match ruled.
I thought kind of a lot of nothing happened.
I thought they went out there, had a cool match. Styles and Killings did stereo dives. Killings stepped up off a chair.
You're describing stuff from literally the last minute.
Yeah, because this was the best. That's what we call good pacing, Liam.
Yes.
But Killings stepped up off a chair into a double rotation black hole slam, and it was the best.
You're an easy man to please.
Yes, if you do double rotation black hole slams out of nowhere, I will be very easily pleased.
Fair enough.
So Vince Russo came out, he joined commentary, he was holding a towel. He actually had the towel last week, so the towel isn't just a 1-week introduction for the sake of this story, it's a 2-week introduction.
This guy's great at long-term storytelling.
He is.
Sound the alarm, baby.
Sting was guest enforcer, but he was not an unbiased guest enforcer because he was just running wild on people
Beating
willy-nilly.
fuckers up, it ruled.
He was just like, if anybody crosses him at all in the match, he's just gonna fucking beat their ass.
And my favorite part about it was like Russo being like, I told him not to do this, but then Mike and Dom were going like, yeah, get him, whoa. And then Vince was like, oh fuck yeah, you know what, you're right, get him.
It's Sting. You can't tell Sting not to kick ass.
Yeah, that's against the rules.
So Killings had hit an axe on a chair on Styles, but Abyss pulled the referee out. Styles hit Raven with the clash, but then Jarrett ran out. Sting and Russo cut off Jarrett. So the finish, Styles was like distracted with Raven in the ring. Then Jarrett took the towel off of Russo's shoulder, threw it into the ring. Styles thought it was Russo throwing in the towel on his behalf. He was distracted and mad, which allowed Raven to hit the Raven effect to pick up the win.
So this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like we're starting to build up to the Raven Jarrett stuff again.
Yeah.
But Raven's like an annoying heel.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that's gonna go.
The direction they go with this, I think, makes very little sense, but we won't talk about that until April.
Well, I can't talk about it. I literally don't know it.
Mm.
So yeah, it feels like we're gonna get to the place we want to get to, but not in the way we wanted to get there.
Yeah, and just as a general rule, I don't like that they've turned Raven.
Yeah, but he was the biggest star in the company.
And like everything he did every month was good. And like, not that he's bad this month, he is still probably one of the better parts of the show. But still, he was like the top babyface, and you have Jarrett as the top heel. Why is that not the match?
Especially if you're like going to pull the trigger, you know? You want those guys in those positions for that. But I don't know. We're doing something weird and different, I guess.
And at least the thing they're doing is in service of getting Chris Harris over. So it's not like they're doing nothing instead of doing Raven.
Yeah.
So that is our number one contender warfare. It's a lot of people jockeying to become number one contender.